thoughts, views, and comments expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of management, ownership, or production unit of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without express written permission of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2021.
Coming up tonight, St. Anne's MP Adrian White on the defensive tonight. Also, Marvin Dame says having police officers drive ambulances in the Family Islands is an idea that lacks vision. Meanwhile, residents in Mayaguana say they are tired of the neglect. They are speaking out, and they spoke out as well this week. And a little later tonight, Jamaico Archer, president of the B3As, is here on the heels of an outstanding performance by Team Bahamas at Carifta. It's all coming up for you this evening. This is Beyond the Headlines, Week in Review Fridays. Good evening, I'm Shanique Miller. It's great to have you along this evening. Well, before we get started into, you all know the headlines. This is Week in Review, and we kind of go back and perhaps bring some new perspectives and ideas to all the big stories. But before we do that, I'm going to welcome in tonight's contributors, Leslie Miller, Michael Turnquest. Gentlemen, good evening to both of you. It's good to have you both here.
Good evening, Shanique. It's a pleasure to be here. Good evening, Bahamas.
Good evening, Bahamas. Good evening, Shanique. Welcome. Pleasure to be back.
It's good to have you here. Listen, guys, I know the Bahamas was celebrating, enjoying, loving the Carifta performance by our athletes. And then, of course, a lot of them went to pen relays. But I want to give you all an opportunity to give your response and just reaction to the performance, especially that 4x4 race by under 20 boys in Trinidad and Tobago.
You know, Shanique, I mean, I've had the opportunity to watch, all the races. And I mean, this week was like the powerhouse of the 400, the powerhouse in swimming. I mean, our athletes just did, we Bahamians were proud of you guys. You guys brought, we got second overall, but at the end of the day, we got, gold in a lot of races. And we see, track has a bright future. We have a very, very bright future. I see a lot of young, talented, athletes, they look as though they're Olympic ready. So I'm happy, the pen relays, that race was even just, that was crazy.
That's another one. And Jamaica will talk more about that coming up, but that was another one that was just stunning, right?
Yeah, I mean, we look as though we were the, at the forefront in every race doing the Carifta Games. It was proud of the young men, the ladies that went out there representing the Bahamas. We thank you for, the effort that you put in, all the training. It's a lot of hard work. But, thank you again for representing the Bahamas and bringing home the silver medal. Like I said, Mr. Miller said, Jamaica has 2 million people. They could send a group of people here and there, everywhere. I think for the
50,000.
For our population, I want to say congratulations, and we're proud of you guys.
I'm so proud, like all Bahamians should be, with the magnificent job that our athletes in all sports, track and field and swimming. And swimming, in fact, this is our 7th victory.
Yeah.
With the most medals. The only country that could boast of that. And the young men and women who competed in Carifta, and girls and boys, they did such a magnificent job to make us so happy. I was so proud that we now have a 4x4 relay that's going to be back. Don't forget, we won in London in the 1980 games, which hadn't happened in over 50 years that someone beat America. So I think we are back on the way. But all of the athletes did such a magnificent job. We have to thank the coaches, the athletes, especially the parents who take those kids out there every day and provide for them all their shoes and everything else, and being a former athlete. The first Carifta was held in fact in St. Croix, the Virgin Islands, 1966, where the Bahamas competed. I was a member of that team, along with Wilbert Morse, Jerry Wisdom, Norris Stubbs. All of them are past now. But it's amazing where we have come from, such a small country, to be a powerhouse in this region. When you get second to Jamaica, we got 250,000 people, they got 2 million.
I think people need to recognize the discipline that these kids put in, and what I'd want to, encourage them is to continue, keep that discipline, hold your head, we want to see you, go into the, NCAA, onto the Olympics.
Exactly.
We hope that all of you guys just hold your head and just keep pushing at it, because at the end of the day, the sky's the limit. And we've had a lot of Olympic athletes that have came,
Yeah.
represented our islands, so I just want to encourage them to hold their head, keep out of trouble, continue to, discipline that we see you, that we could see you have,
Yes.
and continue that throughout your collegiate and whatever other, Olympics and whatever other career that you would have inside, in track and
training
field,
hard,
swimming,
let you rest.
and all of those other, areas that,
Yeah.
we do.
Follow the
well.
coach and stay away from bad company.
Absolutely.
And for God's sake, stay
absolutely.
away from drugs and the bad guys.
Exactly.
And the girls too.
Yes.
When you
yeah.
see someone, when you see someone in trouble, don't jump in the car when you know trouble is. Get out, go someplace
Exactly.
else, because
Go
I don't
home.
want to see none of you getting any,
None of them. I
issues.
mean, you have too much
Very
promise,
proud.
and,
Yeah.
and Leslie and Michael are right. You have too much promise. Let's stay focused. The nation is behind you. We're going to find out coming up a
And
little
thank
bit
the parents,
later.
too.
A little
Yeah.
bit
We
later
don't
from
have gifts and
Jamiko
jobs with your
Archer,
kids.
exactly what went into this sort of resurgence. Just beautiful encouragement and inspiration for the entire nation to see these young athletes doing so well at Trinidad and Tobago, and as well at the Penn Relays. And so
Yeah, Penn Relays.
we'll speak with him a little bit later. But gentlemen, Free National Movement Member of Parliament for St. Anne's, Adrian White, is on the defensive tonight. White, who appeared on a local talk show this week, was heard talking about voting, or the voting demographic, and what might drive them to vote the way they traditionally do. Take a listen, and then we'll come back with more.
GLP administrations. Most were good at peak times, but this one has been a terrible disgrace to the country.
What do you mean sensible? There's a socioeconomic difference between Killarney and St. Anne's and most other constituencies. You're saying that only sensible people live in St. Anne's and Killarney?
Sensible people vote FNM.
What does that mean?
Means that
When you don't vote for the FNM are stupid?
when you have time, well, every constituency has voted FNM except for Angliston, right?
And Long Island?
No, Long Island always votes FNM. Except for when they added just 2 seats.
Oh, so you mean
Every seat has voted FNM, so every seat can be seen as a sensible seat. Why some seats don't determine that they're going to be voting FNM in particular elections is down to a consideration of the factors that are impacting.
So I ask you again, you're saying that the people of Angliston are not sensible, or what are you saying?
The people that
What does that mean?
the majority of
The FNM is the party of sense? What are you saying?
yes, exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, obviously that was Adrian White on that talk show, just chatting it up, as in this season. This season is almost like Junkanoo. You just go back and forth with each other. Was it the smartest thing? No. But listen, that was an excerpt that you heard a moment ago from the interview that aired on Love 97. Now, last evening, based on information I got, listen, I'm going to come out and call my own self out. I said at the time that White called the voters who voted PLP stupid. He never used that word. He never used the word stupid. But you heard what he said. You can deduce your own meaning from what you heard in that soundbite, that they were not, what did he say, smart, wise, what he said? And so if you're not smart, you're not wise, but he never used the word stupid. And I wanted to come out and say that because I never want to misrepresent or become someone that my word is not trusted on this show and in this platform. So I, Adrian, apologize to you for suggesting that you did, just based on information that I got at the time. Now, White told Eyewitness News that his comments made on the talk show were taken out of context. White made it clear that during his interview, he was simply expressing his opinion during a political conversation. And you could tell it was a political conversation. Not the smartest, maybe, choice of words, but, again, like Junkanoo, we kind of go back and forth. Now, gentlemen, Leslie Miller, of course, and Michael Turnquest, again, welcome to Week in Review Fridays. Your thoughts on this faux pas?
Shanique, I know Adrian very well, a very humble, individual. In this season, what we call the political silly season, I think
That's it, the silly season.
the silly season that we're in. I think being a white individual, and someone said being a white individual with the last name White.
No, that's I chuckled a minute ago when you said
speaking out on an area like
Right on
Angliston.
white.
Oh yeah, on an area like
do great.
Angliston, which I know I know very well. I love the people in Angliston. It's like it's so. I think he meant nothing by it.
He meant nothing by
I
it,
think
but it
was
just came across wrong just because of who he
and
is.
it's being a white person. I mean, if anyone knows Adrian White,
and know his history, and you know his life.
His
Woman
wife
of color.
is a woman of color.
Yeah, so you
black.
would know that he's certainly racist.
Yeah.
Just again, an ill thought out comment, really.
Yes, I think it was just something that, he's just speaking out on the, when we look at different constituencies throughout the Bahamas, and you look at an area like Angliston, people in Angliston, hardworking people. At the end of the day, there's a lot of work still to be done in Angliston in terms of infrastructure things of that sort.
Work.
You have things
Housing,
like you have Nassau Village and things of that sort.
Yeah.
You have different areas that still requires a lot of work.
And they have the stigma on them too,
Yeah. So I think there was nothing ill-intended as it relates to the comments made. Like you said, there was nothing calling anyone stupid or anything of that sort. But like I said, I know the individual very well, very humble young man, married to a black woman. So for the life of me, if I have know him and I don't think he has a racist bone in his body. I think that's to try and misconstrue the words to say that he doesn't care for Bahamian people or black Bahamians. I think that's I think it was just
I think we should
caught
give
up
him
in
a
the
pass on
conversation.
this.
Yeah.
Just one of those things you say something you really didn't mean it.
Yeah.
And I guess we can forgive him on this, but don't repeat it again, little buddy. You're the nephew of a good man who was in this country in Parliament for very many years, Jeffrey Johnstone, the late Jeffrey Johnstone, who was well respected in this country. And I'll tell you, when he was elected in 1962, that was the first time Bahamians of color could have voted. And when the press asked the black women, if they voted for him, they said yes. And they asked him why. Because he's such a handsome man.
Listen, however you could get the vote, I tell you, however you could get it. So they voted for him because he was handsome. Listen,
he's very handsome man. So that's why they voted for him.
People have voted for less. For other reasons. So it's no really that's a good thing. But I want to say too that especially coming toward this political season, I tend to be doing a lot of commentary these days. This is an opinionated show where it's where pundits, contributors give their opinions. It's theirs and solely theirs, whether it's on the government, whether it's on the FNM, whether it's on the Coalition of Independents. And they are free to do that on this show. Whatever, as long as they don't defame someone's character or be intentionally misleading, they are free on this here platform to speak as they see it. Whether they call Adrian White somebody who is not suited, whatever it is, the opinions expressed at the time on whichever particular show, they're entitled to that. Michael and Leslie are entitled to their opinions as we move on tonight in this discussion. I just want people to understand that. It ain't nothing changed. This is an opinion show that you all watch and enjoy all around the world, particularly in the United States and right here in our nation, and it's going to continue. We're going to
get a pass this time. Don't do it again, please.
Marvin Dames, you all, former Minister of National Security, former Deputy Commissioner of Police, is saying, listen, he don't buy whatever the explanation is. It's an ill thought out idea to have police officers in the Family Islands trained as ambulance drivers. Now, we've since heard a little bit more. Minister of National Security presently, Wayne Monroe, says those officers they've been selected, they're going to be trained and made paramedics so that they can sort of add to the emergency response. But gentlemen, I want to ask you this, and that's good. It's good to know that these police officers will be trained and they can further enhance whatever the response is and will be needed on a scene. Particularly
mobility too.
Yeah, particularly in the Family Islands. But when we look at that, do we need these officers though wearing that hat? Think about when they pull up in an ambulance, they have to put it in park, then go, but then it's a criminal matter and they have to go and try to secure the scene. This is what Dames was, the picture he was painting.
Shanique, for me, this opens. I asked a few questions when I heard this and that, and you started to read more into it, right? One thing I'm very was surprised that our police officers do not have medical basic CPR training.
Exactly, basic.
Yeah. This is what, and that's to me that's concerning because our police officers are usually the first to the scene.
On a scene.
I've heard, a couple things a few nights ago of a murder that happened. A young man, Arawaki,
and
a young man,
and nobody was
and the
able
police
to.
just basically stood. In the U.S., you don't see that.
No.
You see where police come, they have some type of CPR gear, and
In
they
their
start
vehicles.
to aid
Yeah,
in the absence of an act. So that's
right.
one question that raised it's very concerning for me that our police officers who go around in these patrol units don't have basic CPR training. I mean, in the
should.
boating industry,
Should be mandatory.
you have, that should be mandatory.
It should be.
And then when we talk about moving police from, this area just to drive ambulances, that's, there's a lot to be manned here in the Bahamas. But at the end of the day, one thing you have to be careful of in these family islands, especially when you're overworked, these long roads. You have to be very
You look
careful.
on the rest.
Falling asleep behind the wheel, things of that sort. And then, then you ask the question, how did we get here? Was it ill planning? And this is where we go back to people being held accountable for actually doing
Marvin
their job.
Dames put that same question to the Bahamian people when he was here. He said, "How did we get here?"
Yeah, because it's me. If I'm a CEO of a company or a senior manager in a department, I should be able to say that, hey, we're lacking resources here. Putting a business plan or whatever it might be to say to my CEO, say, hey, we need more resources because people are retiring, things of that sort. There should start to be some succession planning in terms of making sure this person is 6 months out of retirement. We need to get somebody in training to fill these islands and slots. So we have to ask, we have to start holding people accountable and making sure that they're doing their jobs because this is critical services. We have islands that just basically ambulances are sitting up. Doing nothing, and then we have the situation of you have standard shift vehicles that doesn't sit well. It adds another problem that
perhaps not being in use because the people aren't trained to drive them.
In addition to that, you must ask the question, don't we have capable drivers in the family islands? Or people who can be trained
Who
for
can be
that
trained?
same
Who can be trained?
purpose? I mean, I wouldn't want them to extract policemen from Nassau to go to family islands.
And some of your best drivers, they know the roads in the island.
Exactly.
Some like
They
Andres,
know
you
all
have
areas.
certain
They
areas
know
of
the areas.
Andres. You have
Okay.
deep curves. I mean, like almost 90-degree bends and things of that sort, blind corners. People just know where the potholes are. It's a lot to be learned in these islands
Because
where the
inadvertently,
infrastructure is not.
The island fella's probably going to take exception to them being there. Just to be a
But I think I get the impression,
let's hope.
I have no idea, but I get the impression these officers are already assigned to these islands and they are just being given additional
I see.
responsibilities.
So they would be there.
Yes.
That's an additional-
This is what I was made to understand
So
from
let's hope they pay
Dames,
them, eh?
from
Excellent.
Dames as well as even Monroe, that it's not like they are getting new officers from here.
I
Jesus,
see, okay.
I would hope not.
That's fair enough.
But
I mean,
apparently it appears they're ready.
But at the end of the day, in some of these southern islands, the infrastructure is so bad. These ambulances, if you don't know that
Auckland's
road,
Crooked
I mean,
Island.
you can break up the ambulance if you don't know where you're going. Especially at nighttime. Those
Not too many
vehicles, they'll be
streets
done.
are well lit, eh?
Yeah,
No.
they'll
Remember
be
that?
done in
No.
2-3
Not
weeks,
too many are well lit.
and just sitting up, and you have a police officer doing nothing.
Well, gentlemen, the residents of Mayaguana, I tell you, Mayaguana feels as though in the entire Maikal constituency, they are the forgotten child or children. And they have issues with several things, from the docks and the roads to, they say, just you name it, they have an issue. The airport and so many things. Why do you think? And obviously it happened, they say successive administrations, that Mayaguana, according to them, and they have the receipts to show,
Such a beautiful island.
that it's stunning, really beautiful, very rustic and just very nice. How is it? Why are they being left out though? Why has representation been lacking for Mayaguana in the Maikal constituency?
Shanique, I think I wouldn't say when you say representation. I think is there an actual plan?
That's what you would want the MP to have that.
But is the government needs to be on board as
Yeah,
well?
yeah.
Everybody
That's
needs to be
Ministry of
in terms of,
Planning,
hey, at the end of the day, here's our 5-year plan for the island or 10-year plan. I always think that one thing that all islands should need is proper infrastructure. That's light, roads, water, things of that sort.
But I want to
Just
ask.
basic.
I want to ask a question, both you gentlemen. Both of you have been in politics, right? I want to ask this. Isn't it, yes, it's the government's plan, whichever government is in power at the time, but is it not the MP's plan to have that? Because what I'm understanding more and more about politics if that MP is not lobbying for
You
his or
gotta
her
push.
constituency,
Yeah, push all the time.
nothing gets done.
You gotta push.
You can't
Gotta push.
elect a lazy person and expect, I guess, positive results. At the end of the day, if you're going to represent an island, first you have to know what the issues are. And then you have to put the plan around the issues, and you have to sit down, whether it be with private individuals, private companies, in terms of if you can't get the government to come on board, you have to come up with a plan and continue
something.
pushing. You see, I think the lady said the I group, but island
I was
people.
just gonna talk about that.
They went and they sat with them and.
But with the incentives on the land that we gave the I group, when I was there, the infrastructure was supposed to be a part of that heads of agreement.
So the heads of agreement did include
Okay.
infrastructure
It
work.
had included
Okay,
some
but then
infrastructure work to
again,
be
where
done.
is the representation, the elected
was
official?
now 20 years ago, don't
Thank you.
forget.
The elected official who's
Okay.
going to ensure that the I group does what was signed on the dotted line.
Unfortunately, you
What?
really don't have a.
But this is where
a
we
weekend
need,
empty
with
then.
all of these heads of agreements, where these persons want to go and represent the island. No, don't make it in the front of your hotel or whatever pretty. We need help with the infrastructure of the island. We can't just allow you to take all the profits of the island and send back to wherever you're from. We
Listen,
need.
look at it right now. Just with every constituency in Nassau, many of them are putting swimming pools in the area, and also the
Community centers and
community
whatnot.
centers,
Yeah.
causing a couple of $1 million.
Yeah.
Take for example the one in
What is
Nassau Village.
What is Michael doing?
Nassau Village.
Anyway,
If you could spend $1 million putting in one building, you should be able to spend that same money to fix roads and other infrastructure.
yeah.
Because every MP is equal, And
Yes.
it's unfortunate that one man or woman got to represent 5 islands in a small
and
radius.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
That's
That
a
five
hard-
island.
hard job.
That's
I
a lot
mean,
for the
I
5
really don't
islands.
want to
An,
see
But-
an
but-
expensive
An
job.
expensive, yes, very expensive.
But don't sign up for it if you are not willing to at least put the work and the effort in. You've got to be lobbying your colleagues to be able to get these
Well, you
people
really
some
gotta be
sort
a
of
minister
relief.
to
But
deal with that.
but one thing.
We're
But
gonna take a break. I hear you, Justin. We're gonna take a break. You can pick up right there, Michael, when we come back
Yeah.
after this. Stay close.
What if I told you Wendy's has a new burger? With a flavor so secret, it's almost too delicious to handle. Well, now it's time to unlock that flavor. Try the new sweet and smoky barbecue cheeseburger. We can't tell you everything, but we can tell you that it's packed with flavor, including our secret barbecue sauce. Try the new sweet and smoky barbecue cheeseburger today. Available for a limited time.
Rejuvenate, refresh, treat yourself. Immerse yourself in total comfort. Pamper yourself. After all, you're worth it. Relax. Rid yourself of all life's stresses. At Baja Retreat Anti-Aging Spa, you will find everything you need to enhance your body and spirit. Call today at 323-6711 and begin your journey to serenity at Baja Retreat Anti-Aging Spa.
Security Depot makes shopping in the Bahamas easy. Shop the latest appliances, electronics, furniture, gadgets, toys, and so much more on our website, securitydepot242.com. See an item you like? Simply click on it, move to cart, and check out with the option of in-store pickup or home delivery. Endless possibilities are at securitydepot242.com.
Celebrate the incredible women in your life this Mother's Day, and don't forget the special offer from Cornet Bahamas. From April 16th to May 16th, enjoy a fantastic 35% off store-wide. That's right, everything you need to show your love and appreciation is on sale. Whether it's a heartfelt gift for mom, a treat for yourself, or something special for that amazing woman in your life, we've got you covered. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Visit any one of our stores today. Make this Mother's Day unforgettable with Cornet Bahamas.
Keep the Vibe Alive Music Group presents The Legends of Breaking Spray. Get ready for the biggest names in Bahamian music live on stage. KB, Funky D, Chino D, D-Mac, Sweet Emily, Simeon Out, Veronica Bishop, and more like the Singing Bishop. Mark your calendars for Saturday, May 10th at the Farm, Marshall Road. Gates open at 6 p.m. General admission 80, VIP 120. Tickets available at Missouri, Bookkeeper and at the Beauty Shack, both locations. Skyboxes and Sky Pod. Call ESC Distributors at 394-0819. Or email keepthevibealive242@gmail.com. Saturday, May 10th, come by Bo and play and experience the legends of Rake and Scrape. Brought to you by Keep the Vibe Alive Music Group, ESC Distributors, Missouri, The Plug, The Beauty Shack, Bahamas Inn, Bookie Brand, and Caribbean Wines and Spirits.
If you enjoy watching Beyond the Headlines, take advantage of our exclusive offers with 4 15-minute interview segments at $1,200 and 20 30-second TV ads at $2,000. Contact 557-0258 or 557-0259 for more information. Go beyond with Beyond the Headlines.
This segment of Beyond the Headlines is brought to you by the Legends of Rake and Scrape, May 10th at the Farm, Marshall Road.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. You can see we are totally into it as we speak about the residents of Mayaguana. Now, I'm not sure what has been done, just zeroing in on Michael, for example, because Mayaguana has been outspoken now for several times they've appeared on the show, and they have been outspoken about what's lacking, what needs to be done, how they have stepped up oftentimes and patched the roads, for example. They did so again this week. And Leslie Miller, Michael Turnquest, gentlemen, thanks for being here in this segment as well. But Michael, you were making a point, and I know you and I discussed before we even got on air that what needs to happen is that the heads of agreement that we now have many people, Hello is still a desirable destination and somewhere to invest in, that those principles must be made to make a contribution to the islands that they develop on.
You know, but Shanique, what we also need to do is we have a lot of so-called developers that come into our islands, you know, looking for, they see virgin land, they see beautiful beaches, they come up with these bright ideas, but you know, they have no money. They have no money. They come here, they create these heads of agreement. We need to start vetting these so-called developers, companies.
Because now they own the land, right?
You know, maybe, hey, we need, here's a bank account. Let's open a bank account for you. There's how much money we need in this bank account. And this is what we're going to hold as a capital fund for whatever, for that island in terms of assisting them with whatever issues that they may have. But you need to put something up. You just can't come here, take our land and some of our most precious land, the beaches and everything, putting our people back into the, to the middle areas of our so-called, islands. But, at one point I was making, we have, for example, Michael, the MP of Michael. One thing that you would do with most MPs or persons that run in politics, you sometimes find that this isn't a very expensive venture. I have to go around 5 different islands, moving around. The first thing I would do as an MP, if I was faced with that, especially not being a minister, is get in Parliament and lobby, say, hey guys, you all need to up my fund a little bit more, because for me to move around these islands and to get to
whatever that individual needs to do.
You representing one constituency, you could drive your car, whereas I have to jump in a plane and go from 5 different islands.
And that needs are just as great as yours, if not greater.
Exactly. So you need to go in and say, hey, this can't work. If I'm going to represent these, even though they might be not as populated, but people still want to touch and feel their representative.
They do.
Exactly.
And maybe it's not, but you need to go in and say, hey, speak up. This is what I need. I can't do this based on this type of budget.
They do, and and then be loud, because if you, the MP, feel you're being ignored, well then,
imagine what the people feel.
Thank you. So then you really take to the floor when it's your time to make a contribution, or even to the media. Speak up about what the fact is you're trying to get done and unable to.
And Alfred Gray represented them for 25 years.
Oh,
did a hell of a
25
job
years.
Infrastructure. Yeah, 25.
I think he was a minister.
Yeah, he only lost once. He's a minister 3 times. So he's able to get things done. We got some things done too. When I was Minister of Trade and Industry, we got some 15 million euros from the European community to assist family islands, and that was spent mostly between Mackay and Ragged Island, with the airport in Ragged, the docks, the roads, light. Did a lot on. Great did likewise.
Yeah, but you still have a lot of south and southeastern islands. I mean, I'm from Long Island, so we're still waiting on an airport. In badly in need of an airport.
What is amazing though, even despite the fact that you all always had MPs that were there for so long. I don't understand why it didn't happen. What's his name? Served about 3 times.
Who's that?
What's it? Who's
Jimmy-
his pastor?
Jimmy
Jimmy
Knowles.
Knowles. Served 3 or 4 times.
And wasn't he
there.
a minister?
He was a minister in the government, yeah.
I think he
He's
was.
a minister, you know. For some
But
reason, just
but the island has
didn't
been
happen.
the island has been neglected. I mean, there's the same.
So
thing
Long
as,
Islanders too can say the
it's-
same
it's
thing
a
that
very
they have been
popular island.
neglected.
But I'm happy
Beautiful
that
beaches.
Michael is actually getting an airport. The other being, Long Island is still waiting an airport. They're still waiting on even just a little better building upgrade from what they have now. The roads in the north are still, horrible. The flights going to Long Island, you can't get there when you want. So, it's still, in our southern and southeast islands, there's still a lot of work to be done.
A lot of work.
A lot of
I
work to be
tell
done.
you, well, gentlemen, perhaps this can help, meaning this will boost this projected growth and boost the economy. You all saw this week as well, the International Monetary Fund gave good news to the Bahamian economy and the trajectory, saying that it's projected to have a growth from 1.7% to 1.8%. Now, this while it has given an opposite forecast for a number of countries, including the United States. So the Bahamas should sort of feel more confident and saying, as you said, if we can collect this money and increase the revenue, then these various projects that are necessary can perhaps begin to get done.
Yeah, it's a step in the right direction. I think it's it's good for us as a country. Everything is even better for us that like Mr. Miller said earlier, that the tariffs, that in terms of the ships going into the U.S. that come to the Bahamas from China,
1 million
that fee is not going to be put on them, and so we can expect that our goods coming from that direction could will keep our prices down. But at the end of the day, we still have to look at those imports that we bring in from the U.S. Because at the end of the day, the U.S. is a big importer from stuff from China, and the tariffs that they put on place with, I think it's 25% now that they're holding. We're going to see some type of inflation from that. Or we're going to have to basically shift around in terms of how our trade deals, in terms of, do we do more business in South Africa, or do we do more business in China? So it's...
Well, remember that there is some sort of trade commission, that's been established.
Yeah, well,
and they are pursuing those ideas.
Yeah. Well, we should congratulate the Davis government for the job it's done so far with the economy, bringing things back on track. It'll amaze you to see the amount of work that's going on in the western side of our island, New Providence especially, on some of the family islands. But it means there's a lot of work to be done. I think the government need now to concentrate effort more on local manufacturing, on import substitution entities. You mentioned the Trade Commission earlier. The Trade Commission job is to go and get cheaper products from anywhere they can, South Central America and the Caribbean. Now, if you get, and those products that they're trying to get cheaper should not be products to be produced in the Bahamas, Therefore, you'll kill your own local industry and upgrade the industry that the people that you're buying from. So we need to be careful, and that's a fine line. The government need to pay much more attention and give much more effort to local manufacturing. They've been suffering now for the past 60 years.
I don't know if you saw in Africa where the local president there is he's been investing heavily into manufacturing,
yes.
car manufacturing they're
Yeah.
moved into, and they're trying to do away with the Western world to say, hey, we're going to try to be self-sufficient in almost every area. Of course, they are saying that he's going to expect some, pushback on that, especially, from the Western.
He's had an attempt on his life 17 times,
Yeah. So,
Very young man. But, when you look at what he's doing in Africa and what you see on Facebook and everything else, it tells you what has happened to people of color over the last 300-400 years, when all our history was erased. Like when we went to Africa, there was no history of Africa, there was nothing. But it was a country that was doing well among themselves, all the countries.
Yes, they
when
were.
they came to the Caribbean, Columbus. Yeah. I'll never forget the story on Columbus, and his fellows used to put the pigeons and the pirates on the top of the little boy's head and try to shoot the pirate, and they blow the guy's head off. And that was their fun day for the weekend.
It's like China. China said we've been around 5,000 years.
I mean,
America just come about.
Joke.
So
we were here. The Arawak Indians were here.
Exactly.
They met us here. They didn't discover nobody.
Yeah.
You don't discover who's there.
Yeah.
We don't have a history. But when I was a little boy going to school, Magellan and Christopher Columbus and all the rest of the guys were our heroes. They're the people who captured us, took us as slaves.
And we celebrate.
And we honor them.
And we celebrate them.
Luckily, the crazy fella took took him down from Government House. I always thank him for that. He may be nuts, but he did a hell of a job. Now,
So you applauded that
he
guy
should be a hero.
for destroying the
you know how many times I want to do that?
You know, sometimes I think some people write history in terms of what they want us to know, but there's a lot of unknown history.
Yes. The fella, he just made up his mind that night. I can get rid of Columbus. And I tell my brother, you're still my hero. Okay, and I hope they'll never put it back up again.
And a lot of people applauded him.
Yes,
I
supported him 1,000%.
A lot of
he
people.
did the right thing.
We could have removed that from there and put it elsewhere.
Yeah, put it where? You don't need to put it nowhere.
I have no idea.
He enslaved us.
On the ocean front, somewhere.
No, you mean drop him in the damn ocean. On the ocean front. Gotta be joking, huh?
Listen, Leslie Miller, Michael Turnquist, thank you guys very, very much. Always insightful, always have these opinions that just come from any which direction. But thank you guys so much. Don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we're going to look at that amazing performance of our athletes at the Carifta Games right after this break. Stay on the pen relays, absolutely, when we come back after the break.
Welcome to Blissful Escapes, where luxury meets affordability. Whether you're seeking relief from aches and pains or simply looking to indulge in some well-deserved pampering, relax and detox in our infrared sauna. Enjoy a soothing Swedish massage or an invigorating exfoliating body scrub. We also provide advanced facial treatments using cutting-edge technology, including hydrofacial, microneedling, and microcurrent therapies, located at the shops of Cable Beach Plaza.
The internet isn't just for surfing. There's a sea of shoppers buying online, and you can connect with them on Tingsy. Tingsy is the SBDC's online storefront built for Bahamians. Take your business to the next level by selling to customers online, both at home and around the world. People want Bahamian things, and if you got things to sell, sell on Tingsy. Find out how you can connect with a sea of buyers by visiting tingsybahamas.com.
Take sports seriously. Get ready to experience the thrill of winning anytime and any place. Bet in real time and live the thrill of every play while watching your winnings stack up. It's your chance to score big with fast payouts and a world-class experience. Get in the game and bet the Bahamian way with Island Luck Sportsbook.
So you want a space. But not just any space. You need something with a little more potential. So how about 1,000 square feet of room to play with? Superb audio and video production capability, digital LED wall, full lighting grid, and about 124 seats to accommodate a full studio audience with so many other features. Make us your home for your next concert, conference, and so much more. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. Here at ILTV Studios, we'd love to bring your next event to life. So what do you say? Do you want our space?
If you enjoy watching Beyond the Headlines, take advantage of our exclusive offers with 4 15-minute interview segments at $1,200 and 20 30-second TV ads at $2,000. Contact 557-0258 or 557-0259 for more information. Go beyond with Beyond the Headlines.
This segment of Beyond the Headlines is brought to you by EV Motors. Drive the future with brand new 2024 electric vehicles. EV Motors, powering your journey.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. It's good to have you continue to tune in on this Friday. By the way, so, you know, in the beginning of the show, we did some week in review Fridays, but this is totally fresh. I am so happy Team Bahamas is, I think a number of them are making their way back here. We'll get this information officially back here this weekend and early next week. But of course, you know, the wonderful story coming out of Trinidad and Tobago. Team Bahamas, they shined so brightly there with 37 medals at the 52nd Carifta Games in Trinidad and Tobago. Team Bahamas delivered a standout performance at that edition of the Carifta Track and Field Games. held in Trinidad, racking up an impressive 37 medals and cementing their status as a regional powerhouse. This is amazing in youth athletics. Now, heading into the competition, coaches and track and field officials had high expectations, labeling the squad as one of the strongest Bahamian teams in recent years. The athletes lived up to the hype, showcasing their talent and determination on the regional stage. The nearly 80-member team brought home 16 gold, 13 silver, and 8 bronze medals. In addition to their medal haul, Team Bahamas also made history, setting 5 records, 2 Carifta records, and 3 Bahamian junior national records. Jamaica claimed the top spot overall with a dominant 30 gold medals, along with 27 silver and 21 bronze. Host country Trinidad and Tobago also had a very impressive showing, earning 9 gold, 6 silver, 10 bronze. Now, of course, already the attention is on the 53rd edition of the Carifta Games. That's set to take place in Grenada. But listen, let us take a time this evening and pay homage to our Carifta teams. By the way, the swimming team also did incredibly well. We hope to bring those officials to the show as well. But listen, I want to get into some track and field news right now and how we did so impressively in Trinidad and Tobago last week over the Easter holiday weekend. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines, President of the B3As. Good to see you.
Always good to be here.
Tromiko Archer, it's so wonderful to see you. Have you rested? Have you recovered from like just day and night going in Trinidad and Tobago?
Yeah, we've been going, and I'm only realizing how tired I am. Only that every time I go home, all I want to do is sleep. And so I'm trying to recover now, but there's more work to be done.
Listen, but obviously you all put in a ton of work headed into Trinidad and Tobago. Let's talk about this being one of the strongest Bahamas Carifta teams and Carifta teams to go and compete anywhere in the region in quite some time.
Yeah. So this has been the fruit of a long-term plan, and surprisingly, we're just still not there. I expected us to do very well. I predicted that our teams will be very strong in the under-17 divisions and under-20 divisions. But while there's a lot more work to be done, it really surprises me that we have really gained a lot of traction over the past, I would say, 6-7 years. Mm-hmm. And that's by a very clear and focused plan. And I think that we're executing to plan.
Well, it's good to see that we are finally executing, because the Bahamas has a reputation of ebbing and flowing. Mm-hmm. We know of the wonderful highs with the Golden Girls, the Silver Knights, this, that, the next, and then just quiet. One or two athletes stand out and try to keep the nation going, but then a lull. And now this. What was that plan like to be able to deepen the bench? So many people called for it. Oh my God, the Bahamas has a shallow bench, but it's now deepening with these athletes that have emerged.
We have spent all of our resources talent searching, developing young talent. We have a very robust kids athletics program where we've been attracting thousands of young kids to our programs every year, year over year. And then of course we've had the proliferation of track and field clubs. What we have begun looking at now is to take a more strategic approach by having a national program. And by that, it isn't to suggest that if you are a coach, then you're isolated if you're not a top brass coach. What we've been trying to do is we've tried to centralize our training programs so that if you are a specialist in the sprints, then all of the sprinters should come together. If you are a specialist in the throws, then we try to bring all of the coaching community together, identifying all of the throwers in one space so that the training is consistent, the methodology of how we approach it is consistent, and we borrow from the world leaders to model after them to ensure that we are up to a global standard. And I think that the other thing that we've not wavered on is establishing a standard, sticking to the standard. And while there may be some variances, I think that we've done a very, very good job of saying, if you don't make the standard, then we'll see you next year.
Well, that is amazing what you have done, even as the president of the B3As, the way you have kind of brought this new energy, new focus, new vision to what we're doing. Now, let's go to Trinidad and Tobago over the weekend. By the way, continue doing what you're doing because we're happy. I mean, Olympics is like, can we look at Olympics now?
Yeah, you can.
With these athletes, they're performing so well. But let's look at Trinidad and Tobago. and that the fact that we showed the region the Bahamas is back. What are some of the highlights coming out of Trinidad and Tobago on the track and field last weekend?
You know, Shanique, we do a medal count and we say, wow, we've done great. We've done exceptionally well. But I think that the story is bigger than the medal count. It is really the heroism of our athletes. When you see a Jamaican winning a gold medal and they just win, but when you see the superhero kind of performances that we have produced on the track, you'd be like, wow, this is just out of a body experience, right? And so Egan Neely stands out as one who has gotten the attention of not just Bahamians and the households everywhere locally, but the host broadcasters. The area has now been talking about Egan Neely. Everyone wants to
Neely?
Egan Neely.
Egan Neely, awesome. What does he run?
He ran the 200 meters and he ran the 400 meters. And of course, he was the anchor leg in both the 4x1 and 4x4.
Listen, the 4x4.
And it was epic.
But how did we do in the 4x1? I'll ask you about that in a minute. Yeah. But listen, wait no more. You all have seen clips, highlights, the whole race, bits of the race, whatever it is. I want us to take a look. The region, by the way, stood in applause and amazement at this performance. So I want us to see it, and then you come and talk about just, number one, where Egan was and how this all came together, and what's next for these athletes in this race. Take a look at the 4x4.
200 champion into the straightaway. It is Bahamas ahead of Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, and Jamaica. The Bahamians have the 400 champion. Zion Miller has a comfortable lead. Tash Marquez White is in fourth for Jamaica. He was the favorite going into the 400 meters, but he stopped, and now he needs to find something special. Lezama for Trinidad and Tobago. Tash Marquez White makes a move at the 200 mark, but it's still Miller. The Bahamians are well clear. Can Tash Marquez White pull this back? Trinidad and Tobago in third. It's Bahamas ahead of Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago. Barbados in fourth. Tash Marquez White is closing, but the 400 champion has it won. The Bahamians win the 4x4. And close Carifta in the most sensational fashion. The President Jamaica Archer promised it, and they have delivered emphatically. What a performance from the Bahamas. They sweep the boys 4x4s.
So there you saw, right? The boys under 20 4x4s, as the commentator said, in the most sensational fashion. That was stunning. Did you expect that?
I expected it. I expected an even more significant performance coming out of that particular race. Unfortunately, we had, leading up to this event, we dubbed the team the Zions, the Triple Tower Zion, and we even had a commercial about it. There's Zion Davis, Zion Miller, Zion Shepherd, and then of course, then you had Aiden Kelly. So this is the men's under 20 4x4 team. Zion Shepherd suffered injury, and so we were missing a significant plank. So imagine if Zion Shepherd had run that race, it would have been a totally different race.
Because did you see that gap? Well, of course you did, but I just have to ask. The gaps were like on Olympic level. When somebody is a master at their race, and to watch that, those guys were ready. So
Zion Miller is no fluke. In fact, he was one of the most celebrated 400-meter athletes going into the Carifta Games. But of course, one would argue that either Egan, the under-17 boys, under-70 boy, took the show. But Zion was an Olympic qualifier. He was in Paris. He was the youngest athlete in Paris. So he came with a lot of experience going into these Carifta Games. And so, make no mistake, he won the under-20 boys 400 meters at the Carifta Games. So there was no surprise that he would show up. But in epic fashion, we never thought that it would have been such a significant race. And that is the race that everyone watches even to this day.
What's next for these guys? Because to see that, we are all excited, because then we feel as though, whoa, the Bahamas appears to be sort of poised to now begin making impressions at the World Games, at the Olympics. Can we be that hopeful watching those guys?
Absolutely.
And the others?
Absolutely. In fact, that time would have been a national record. In fact, it probably would have posted as one of the fastest Bahamian times in the for the entire area. And so we're expecting those guys to show up once again and qualify at the World Championships. We now have a deeper relay pool. It's no longer relying on the Stephen Gardner or the Alonzo Russells. We now have a deep pool of athletes that we can turn to and say, hey, the Bahamas stands a chance. And that's what we've been missing for a very long time.
Those under 20 boys, where are they? How are they being assisted?
Celebrated.
And how are they obviously ensuring that they are trained well, that they're healthy, that they have what it takes to be able to go and go further, World Games, all those other international meets?
I have to say that we've enjoyed the fullest of support from the government. This is a government that has really promoted track and field and sport generally, that not only are we producing high caliber athletes and we demonstrate our sporting prowess, but we've also been intent on trying to develop a sports tourism product by delivering competitions across every discipline. And I think that environment really raises the level of competition for our Bahamians, because they see, they understand, and they are a part of a new ecosystem that you can only thrive in. Everyone wants to be in the Bahamas. Coaches want to come and be a part of our exchange. And I think that really is the making of something really, really beautiful in terms of a product that we can sell back to the world.
It really is amazing. Now, of course, we see what happened. Were there any others, the ladies, for example, any other standout athletes in terms of what our ladies did?
Well, Jamie and Abby had a stellar show.
I remember speaking with her here.
Yeah, absolutely. She competed in the 23 Carifta Games here, and she was really the standout athlete. She competed in the mixed relay, and really was the story of the relays in Trinidad. Then she suffered a slight injury. We said it isn't worth her continuing to compete, so we pulled her out. But she was outstanding. Ane Maki, she was the record holder. She set a national record in the discus, and she showed well in the shot put, so that was great. Tasia Stubbs came back, and of course repeating a gold medal performance, and alongside Tasia Stubbs in the javelin throw was Diore Scott. And Jose Johnson is really the story of the games in terms of the rising star. She had an opportunity to double her gold medal count. She won the long jump, and then of course she placed second in the triple jump, but only by a small error. And so the under 17 girls is really, really rising high in the region, and I just think that we have a product that's going to sustain us for a very, very long time. What I will say is that we just can't stop. We had 16 gold medals, our highest, that's the second highest count in history for the Bahamas. The highest is 19. We're aiming for 20. We were almost there. And I believe that with our program, we'll attract even more athletes and at a very, very high level.
And so it's this refocusing and also putting some resources behind our athletes that we're now seeing this wonderful thing develop.
Yeah, so this is a manifestation, yes, but we can't turn our eyes away from those areas of deficiency, and the middle distance running is something that we're still woefully lacking in. We are looking at a program where we will really try to integrate where we are, look at the best talent in the world, best coaching resources in the world, to get us back on track. So our middle distance program is something that we'll be focusing on very, very keenly over the next 12 months.
I mentioned that some of them are returning this weekend or early next week. They went from there to compete elsewhere, right?
Right to the Penn Relays. And dominating there as well.
They're doing well at the Penn Relays.
Dominating there. So Egan attends SAC, their boy, Jacario Wilson, and we didn't even talk about Jacario. Jacario Wilson won the 110 hurdles, came back and won the 400-meter hurdles, and he was also part of the under-17 boys, 4x1 and 4x4. So he too is a 4-time gold medalist at these games. Grant Holloway, I told him about the experience where Grant Holloway sent him a note to say, go get him. And I showed him the note. He was ecstatic. It felt like a rock star. And he came back and he really showed up. So when we have athletes believing that they are world class, that they are on top of the world, it's really now about believing in yourself and really telling the world that, hey, you got to come and get me. I ain't coming for you. You're coming for me.
Absolutely.
And that's exciting. But to tell you the story about the Penn Relays, Jacario fell down after positioning himself to be in the lead. He fell down, went far back to last place, and through every exchange, then comes Egan Neely, and he runs down everyone to bring Sack back to first place. You should see the video.
Oh, kidding. Where's the video? How you didn't bring that?
I didn't send you the video.
You didn't bring that? Like, come on, we want to see these things to like put, support our athletes.
Yeah, Diore, I just got recent news that she won the women's javelin at the Penn Relays. The Penn Relays has been around for decades, and it's one of the established competitions that everyone looks forward to seeing in the United States, and we're doing very, very well. Guess what? You did not come to Trinidad, and you don't look like an athlete.
I wish I don't look like an athlete.
But you look like a pretty cheerleader. So what I've done is I brought you a Bahamian T-shirt.
This is super. Look at this, y'all. Come close.
You're not an athlete.
Oh, I'm going to wear this.
But I know that every Bahamian would love to have.
Yes, of course.
A Bahamas T-shirt.
Thank you so much.
And so I'm gonna.
Yes, and is it the right size?
Don't talk
yes,
it now. Don't
yes,
talk
it is. No, it's the right size. That's right. It's awesome. Oh my! What should I do with this? Should I wear it out? Should I look at this, y'all? Look at it. I have my Bahamas shirt. Right. Thank you, Justin. This here's the shirt. Team Bahamas. Thank you so much. I value this.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I mean, I work out and stuff. Does that count for anything? Like.
Well, wear it on the show tonight. Don't talk no fool. Wear it on the show tonight. Celebrate your Bahamian athletes and its success. And also celebrate the successes of the Bahamas Aquatics team that won first place in Trinidad as well.
They were fantastic. Yeah, I would love to have them. I'll wear this. You know what? And I'll reach out to him because I'd love to have him as well. How about I wear it Monday? I'll put every style
aside. Wear it every day next week.
Now hold on, wait. Now I am an icon. I am the moment. I just can't do that.
You can wash it every day.
No, you're right about that. Who says wash why? That's right. But Shamiko Archer, president of the B3As, thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, medium. That's it. That's the size. Yes, awesome. I'm wearing this Monday. Believe me, I am.
And if you don't, I can call the show.
No, call the show. Come take it back. Do whatever you want. Do talk bad about me. Whatever it is, I will be wearing this on Monday. Absolutely. Just proud, y'all. Proud to be Bahamian and repping the 242. And thank you. Congratulations again.
You are absolutely welcome. The only thing that I ask for the Bahamian people to do is to continue to support track and field. And I asked every newspaper company and media all across the country to send out a big ad that says, looking for the fastest male and female in the country, looking for the strongest male and female in the country, looking for the person who can jump the farthest. And that's all we want. We want to promote and to encourage everyone to be a part of our movement. And you never know who we'll discover once again.
You just never know. You never know. I mean, you all are doing so amazing. Congratulations to you and your team for just bringing a revival to our athletics, and this is amazing. Swimming has done incredibly well as well. As you heard Ramiko just mentioned, I hope to speak with them next week on the show, but congratulations, we are here to support. When those athletes start coming in, if you want to come back here next week with one or two of them, certainly, of course, feel free. We celebrate all the work that's happening.
And I think that when you invite the athletes, they get media training, they become more comfortable talking about their event and who they are. I think it's really about bringing them closer to the sport in a very different way.
Yeah, no, we this platform is open and extends the opportunity to them. Thank you once again, President of the B3A's, Jamaica Archer. Congratulations, Team Bahamas.
You can show off, eh?
I can show off what? This is my outfit for Monday. I don't want to hear nothing. I didn't wear it yet. This Monday. Yeah, listen, thank you all so much. Jamaica, thank you so much again. You're sending us off into a great weekend. I thank you all for tuning in all week long. I know it's been a short work week because it's, of course, coming off the Easter holiday, but it's been awesome having you here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and of course this evening. We look forward to seeing you right back here on Monday evening. For the entire Beyond the Headlines team, I'm Shanique Miller. Make it a blessed weekend, everyone.